All right. What's up, everybody? It's Collective Dismal coming to you all today with a little piece of advice. And you're going to want to listen to this if you have a job where you have to go out and deal with members of the public that you otherwise would not ever volunteer to deal with. Meaning, the necessity of having to bring that almighty dollar in and make money. You can't rely on Gibbs or family. You're not a welfare maxer. You're not a NEET. You can't pull it off given your situation. And so you're forced to go out into the world and you're forced to take a job where you have to deal with other people, let's just say. We'll call them people. That might be a little bit of a stretch. People might be too generous a classification for the organisms I'm going to be discussing in this video, but I digress. So, I've been working my butt off for the past month or so, pretty much every day. I think I have one day off a week, and even usually then I'm still getting called in for like an hour to 3 to do something, so it's not even a day off. I pretty much live at my job in a way, which I've been liking, this week because I'm back to getting treated like shite at my house. Treated like a fucking excrement in my own home by my girlfriend. We're back to the whole silent treatment thing, but that's not the point of this video. So, work has become like a little bit of a form of escapism for me. And I'm making money hand over fist. Whereas before, like I said, I couldn't get a job to save my life, and now all I do is work. But I don't particularly like being at my job. There are some perks to it. There are some upsides. One of them being that I gain a lot of insights into the mind of the public, the mind of the populace, the people, whatever. And I can come on here and make these videos, which a lot of you seem to enjoy. A lot of you guys seem to derive some true value from these videos. And so we get on here and, we share these insights and we try to learn from them. And hopefully I'm able to do that in this video. So the title of this video is N-word poop tests. Sure, anybody that frequents this sphere, watches content like mine, will already have a pretty good idea in mind of what I'm going to discuss here, but we see these videos go around more and more lately of white men, young men, in the prime of their lives, and they're trying to be cool. There's a lot of pressure on men to try to be cool. Women are kind of like the judges of what's cool, and that's sort of the yardstick that like we're all measured against is our success with women. And I never really had this problem because I wasn't a social extrovert. I wasn't like I stopped going to parties in high school, essentially. Like, I've never went to like college parties and stuff. I mean, I've attended them, but I was never like, it was always just incidentally, like there happened to be one where I happened to be or something. Like, I'm not a hermit, but I'm not a party goer. I'm not a fun haver. But if you are, which is like the only way to get, within any kind of proximity to white girls that are attractive or whatever. And these schools now in the West are all very multi-ethnically diverse. And so it starts to manifest itself in these like weird social ways. And one of them is the clowning on these white boys. And the troll culture that predominates like the Zoomer generation. Prank culture, clowning, troll dunking culture, people getting dunked on in front of like large audiences of people, basically, is what I'm talking about here. And they're getting dunked on by Jamals, by Tyrones. And a lot of times it's just like, it's a shit test. Like the guys that you see, I see all these videos like Western Decline, responds to a lot of them, and Black Pill Backshots, he shares them around. And I always have it's a unique kind of rage porn because I'm sort of acclimated and accustomed to seeing rage porn. It doesn't really get my cortisol spike or my adrenaline going, but these ones do for some reason, and I think I know the reason, but it's a bit hard to articulate. Like, let me just construct an example that you might see. So it's like some white guy, he's standing around with his double cup. He's got his red party cup. You could tell there's some kind of like social gathering going on, and some didn't do nothing will come up to him, and he'll kind of just like humiliate him in a way, blatantly in front of a bunch of people. He'll be like, yo, what if I just kissed your bitch right now? What if I just like took your bitch right off your arm? And the guy will just stand there, and it's like a deer in the headlight, social paralysis type of deal. They're just there, and it's like so cringe. Like, you can feel bad for the guy in a certain sense, but you could tell like they're caught off guard, and it's such a flagrant like violation of your space that it really comes out of left field, and it can catch you off guard. It can catch the best of us off guard if you're not ready for that. So it's easy to say, oh, that guy's spineless. I would do this and that. This is what I would do. I would never tolerate. Everybody's like a tough guy when they're, in the third person. But when it's you, right? When it happens to you, you're sitting there, you're trying to take it all in, and suddenly there's this fucking monkey in your face that's like, yo, this my beer now, and just snatches it out of your hand. And oh, by the way, let me wear your hat. And just takes your hat off your head and your beer out of your hands. Now you're standing there empty-handed. Should I put my hands in my pocket? How do I play this off? I'll just laugh along with them. Yeah, I'm part of the joke, guys. It's just, I was in on it all along. I'm actually not getting clowned on here. And it's cringe beyond. It's like transcendental cringe. Like it's so cringe that it cuts through the entire context of like what's going on, and it's just like exposing the bare atoms of like human interaction in its ugliest form, right? So the guy's standing there, he's just had his hat and his fucking beer and his woman like taken by a guy who's not even physically imposing whatsoever. Like it's never some like Herschel Walker type, 6'6", like Jack chiseled, Tyrone God or whatever. It's always just some pest, like some pesky little twink body, like loudmouth, low and hip guy, and they feel safe walking through the world like it's some kind of a video game. They know that there's all these like taboos around criticizing them, and they know that like white people are just extremely well behaved, and they've been made so docile that they're never going to resort to violent action. They're always going to think before they act. They're always going to weigh out the cost benefit of like getting in a fight and determine that it's never worth it. And so they'll always just kind of bite the bullet and grin and bear it. Now, I'm going to tell you why that will never be me. And it's because I know the mechanism by which it starts. I know where it starts. I know how to identify that stuff from light years away. And I'm going to tell you guys how to identify that too, so you don't ever find yourself on the not that my listeners, ever go out and have human contact anyway, but in the odd event that you find yourself in a situation like this, hopefully what I'm about to say will help you prevent ever finding yourself on the receiving end of a social humiliation ritual at the hands of a Dindu. So you can never, ever, ever, under any circumstances, sell their jokes, right? It all starts with humor. Humor is their weapon, and this is how they gauge the distance. Just like a boxer, pumping some fakes. They're tentative at first. They're not willing to commit to anything, so they're pumping the jab, they're faking and feigning. You need to shut it down right there. And this happened to me at work. So I'm going to give you an example of this one groid that was at my work that I shut down. The other week there, he was at the place where I work, and there was a bunch of people all over the place, in the lobby. It was like a huge gathering, huge event going on. And this guy was kind of all over the building. I could see him just kind of bopping around. Like, I could tell his energy was a little bit low and hip. He was a little bit too vibey, and he was like kind of bebopping around the building. He'd be talking to people, then he'd be over here and there. I could see just from the stupid smile on his face, and he had like a bit of a glisten in his eye where I could tell he was just sort of up to no good, right? And this guy, he was Canadian born or whatever, American born, but he was like very much of the genetic makeup and of an African. And so we're talking about a very dark complexion individual here. And he was young. He was the worst of both worlds. He was a Zoomer, and he was like disposed in such a way. And so he was bobbing around this and that. And I don't confront people. Don't get under my skin. Like, nobody is a problem to me until they're a problem to me. Now, I'm going to get into that later. I'm going to clarify what I mean by that later in the video. But this guy, he's with these two young Asian kids, these two Asian guys. And the three of them together, at some point they decided it was like a cool idea to play keep up with a soccer ball like 5 feet in front of my desk with a bunch of people all over. And so they're, getting real animated about it. He's running over here, keeping it up, kicking it up, throwing his leg around. It would almost get away from him a couple of times. I thought it was going to like smash a window or smash my desk or whatever. But I'll give him this. He was very controlled with it. Like, he was, very good at like keeping this control of this ball. So I glared up a couple of times, through my brow. I didn't really want to acknowledge them. It wasn't quite annoying me, but I'm like, I just had it in my mind, if this thing fucking flies through the air and crashes onto my desk, he's going to have a big problem. He's going to have a really big fucking problem because he's not getting that ball back, period. Like, he's never getting it back. And I'll die on that fucking hill. If that ball comes over that desk and it crashes into me, knocks my drink, knocks my computer, anything like that, he's just not getting it back. And I'll literally be willing to die on that hill. Like, my life is worth less than that principle is to me in that moment. But it didn't come to that. He kept it up, whatever. But he made a comment to me at some point. He goes, oh, I can tell you're like getting ready to say something, boss. And I said, me? I'm good, man. And he goes, oh, I could tell your chest was kind of puffing up. And I'm like, well, just keep it over there. That's all I says, right? Just keep it over there and we're good. And then they played for another minute or two, and then he kind of disappeared, whatever. I didn't see them again. Couple of days later, maybe a week had gone by, the guy's back in the building again, different night, and he's sort of like doing the same thing. He's got the same demeanor. He's like bopping around here and there. And he comes up to me at some point. And here's the thing, like I want to kind of stop this for a second and add something. So a lot of these people, these poop testers, right? These poop people, they have a very high degree of social acuity, social awareness, like, which you would think might be like counterintuitive or paradoxical. You would think that like subhumans or lowly people, they don't have like much self-awareness. They're very solipsistic, but it's the opposite, because I think they needed to develop this social aptitude to like gauge how annoying they're coming across to the people that can squash them, right? They need to know kind of like where they stand on the annoyance scale so that they can position themselves in the most optimal place where they can be as annoying and invasive as possible, but without, ever putting the straw that breaks the camel's back. And so I think that kind of stuck with this guy. I didn't say anything to him when he was bouncing that fucking ball. I didn't say anything. I left it, right? But he knows I, shot him a look that I think kind of like penetrated his armor a little bit. And so he came up to me next time he was in the building and he goes, "Hey, boss, how much is it for a Gatorade?" So I says to him, $3. I could tell this guy was like, he had this big dumb smirk on his face. He was sort of trying to like gauge distance with me using humor. He says, "How much for a Gatorade, boss?" I go, $3. And he goes, "Okay, well, what about if it's my birthday? How much is it then?" And I turn my head to look at him and I go, $3.50. And I stared at him like right in the eyes. Like I gave him that Derek Vineyard look from like American History X. Like, "Listen, dude." And he could kind of tell, man, like I know that it's hard to explain like social nuance. It's hard to kind of like verbally articulate it sometimes, but he kind of knew like this guy's a Nazi of some sort. Like not like I look like a Nazi kind of. I am a Nazi, but I look like one too. And he kind of like, he picked up on that. Like, dude, and I no-sold him. Like, I no-sold it like Hulk Hogan no-selling Kurt Hennig on the Perfect Plex. Like, I just literally was like, I'm not smiling here. I'm not going to fucking crack a smirk. I'm not even going to, like, respond to this, right? And, he fucked off. He disappeared. He got all awkward. He was like, "Oh, man." And he kind of, like, he dialed it back because he understood, like, I knew that he knew that I knew like what this was, and I was not going to give any kind of an in to invite his behavior. Because what will happen with these people is it starts off very jovial, they'll come in and jest, and they'll kind of jester max a little bit, and they'll throw a few feelers out there, and they'll get you smiling along with them. They'll get you like smiling and grinning. They'll get your guards down. Like, yeah, we're all friends here. We're all laughing together. And then it gets a little bit more. The next follow-up is a little bit more passive aggressive. It's a little bit more confrontational. And then before you know it, they're just blatantly disrespecting you, and you've just been humiliated and cuckolded in front of a crowd of people. And the thing is that, how do I say this? Like, once you gave them that smile, you gave them that green light, you can't then turn around and have like an overreaction. Like, they've already got you, because say you were to like put your foot down and get tough or something like that after you've already been like laughing. It wouldn't make sense. You would look like the bad guy if you did that. They're very good at this, to keep that kind of plausible deniability, where if you were to go like, bro, what did you just say to me? Say it to my face or something like that. After you'd already kind of laughed initially along with them, it wouldn't make any sense, and you would look like it would give people the ick. And they know that. They know that. Like once they kind of hooked you with a little bit of disarmament, that you can't then turn around and try to be like a serious fag later on. Like you have to just sort of grin and bear the humiliation ritual. You cannot give them an inch. Like don't, if you're forced to associate with them, you have to immediately no-sell whatever kind of fucking BS jester maxing crap they approach you with. Don't ever give them that, any kind of insinuation that you're friendly with them or that you are their buddy or you find them funny or anything like that. And if you no-sell them, they will cower immediately. This guy he just cowered away when I looked at him. I said 350. And I didn't joke. I didn't smile when I said it. Like he could tell instantly that his presence was a fucking annoyance to me. I wasn't rude to him. I didn't say anything. But they'll be able to tell, dude, that like this guy could tell that I viewed him as a pest. I viewed the whole social interaction between us as something necessary, but something that I would rather not even engage in. That if I wasn't in the capacity of me being at work, and he tried to stop me on the street and ask something like that, that I would probably tell him to kick off. And that he had no leverage over me in this social situation because I was not going to placate anything he was trying to do. And this is the way that you avoid this kind of thing. You know, somebody comes up, oh, what would I do? What would you do if I took your hat? You look at them right in the eye, right, and you have to mean it too. If you don't mean it, then it doesn't count for, I mean it. I would say to him, if you take my hat, I'm going to end your life. Period. Don't touch it. It's mine. I don't touch your things. I don't ever even think about touching your things. Your things are your things. My things are my things. If you touch my things, then I'm going to view it as a stand your ground situation, and I'm going to respond as such. And we can avoid all of that if you just leave me alone, because I'm not bothering anybody. And you just need to lay it out there like that. And like, they will know you mean it. Don't worry about them calling your bluff. If you mean it, then you're not bluffing. And they'll pick up on that. And they will leave you alone. They'll go away. But you have to, you look them straight into the eye. Don't look down. Don't look off to the side. You look them straight in the eye, straight away, and you say, if you did this, this is how I'd respond. Period. Do it. And they'll immediately shrivel. They'll shrink. And they'll say, oh, shit, man, I'm just fucking with you, man. You getting all hot and heavy and shit. You say, no, I'm good. I'm just telling you. I'm just stating the facts. This is how I would respond to that action. Period. I will not ever in this life find myself in a situation where I'm being socially humiliated by one of these people because I didn't nip it in the bud. Dismal days indeed.